Hello. Hello. Hello everyone, welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. It's great to see you all here, and welcome to the TFDi MD-11. I hope you're not bored of seeing this aircraft yet. I've done 2 videos with it. I know it's been streamed a lot recently, but there's good reason for that. This is a really nice aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. It was upgraded at quite a small cost if you had the 2020 version, $5 US. And considering the improvements over the original, which I already liked, I think it's actually pretty good value. And it's now native, and I've not run into too much trouble with it in Flight Simulator 2024. So fingers crossed we can have the same luck today and take it for our flight across Japan, starting from here at Nagasaki up to Tokyo Haneda. So we had done some flying in Japan, but not that much, and not recently. So I wanted to get in the air again, and in one of my all-time favorite liveries. This is the Japan Air System MD-11. This aircraft is, this livery, sorry, is so similar to the Airbus house livery from the early or the late 80s that I absolutely love it. So they had lots of nice, colourful liveries, Japan Air System. Later merged into Japan Airlines with JAL, so that's where they were. So we're going to be the Air System 11 today. We're on VATSIM with live weather, and we'll be taking it from cold and dark for our flight up, sort of northeast, up towards Tokyo. We'll see that all on the maps once we get going. So jumping into chat, thank you all for coming along and joining us today. I can see lots of familiar names as always. Cactus Bravo, hello to you. Mark Burgess, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. And Crash Ed, I hope you're doing well. Great to have you here. Anthony Gibson, Mr. Sun Lander as well. Dr. Dilkington, great to see you. Peter DR, I hope you're doing well, and thanks for coming along. Yeah, we haven't streamed for a little while. The last stream was our 100k celebration ultra long haul. I say ultra long haul, 10-hour live stream, but here we go. Anyway, hopefully the audio is working. But yeah, Hayden, great to see you. Thanks for coming along and joining us again, Hayden, today. Jamie K, great to have you join us as well. So what we're going to do is jump in and get this airplane powered up. MD-11, of course, if you haven't seen anything about it, if you've managed to avoid any spoilers of this aircraft until now, this is the largest trijet ever built. It came right at the end of the trijet sort of era, and the reason for that is you want 3 engines for extra performance. It gave it extra range and allowed it to go a long way from alternative airports, but it was obviously a bit more efficient than having 4 engines. However, this is now, or even when the MD-11 came out, this whole design was becoming a bit redundant. It was a modified DC-10, of course, so a sort of a lengthened and widened DC-10. The wingspan's wider, although using lots of the same parts and design, as you can see from that engine and so on the tail. But it didn't really take much market share because around the same time, or shortly after, the 777 came along, which absolutely dominated the ETOPS long-range sector of the commercial market. 777 as well has a very wide fuselage, very high capacity, very powerful engine, so it wins all round, and obviously it's more efficient because it only has 2 big engines to go with, which is a shame because these trijets are really cool. We had the DC-10 and this, and we had the L1011, the Lockheed TriStar. And we're going to see some more interesting ones come along, I think. We had some more interesting ones in the past, and I hope to see more of them come along to simulators. But obviously, this was the era of trijets. Was before this, when you had 727, you had the I forget the name, but now the Tridents in the UK. The lots of aircraft like that. It was a very standard format when 2 engines weren't really considered good enough, or they weren't powerful enough originally, and then it became a reliability thing for long-range operations, and then obviously, like I say, it faded out to 2 engine when ETOPS came along. It also didn't meet its fuel burn or its range estimates as a result of that, so it was relatively expensive to operate. However, it is alive today in the form of the cargo variants mostly. Unfortunately, since the UPS accident, they are all grounded at the moment, so that is a shame. I hope they figure out and stop whatever that was happening again. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit as we're underway, although ongoing investigations are always a bit tricky. But there we are. Ethan's Aviation, good to see you. Thanks for coming along as well. And yes, indeed, there are business jets now. Good point. Shash says Falcon 7X, 8X, and 9X. They still have trijet business jets. Indeed. So yeah, probably for similar non-ETOPS reasons, allowing them to travel long distance away from airports. I absolutely love this livery. It looks great. So we're here, like I say, in Nagasaki. Romeo and Juliet Foxtrot uniform is the code. If you want to join in, you are welcome. I am on VATSIM, although there won't be any controllers because, of course, it's very late at night in Japan right now, or very early morning, I should say. The exterior model of this aircraft, by the way, has been improved, and compared to the previous or the original version, this is a really nice art update, and this is free if you have it in 2020. So if you do have it in 2020, make sure you give it another chance, give it another flight, because it's really quite something. Right, let's get started. This is a heavy aeroplane, by the way. Takeoff weights in the sort of the high 200, 286 tons, something like that. That's heavier than typical 787-900 would be. It's a serious weighty machine. Not quite as heavy as a 777. Again, the 777 is a bit of an outlier. It's just so chunky and heavy and big compared to most aircraft. It's quite unusual. Now, we have an electronic flight deck, which will make life easier for us, but we can start it up quite straightforward. TFDi provide a really nice quick start guide, which will get us through it. But I've loaded in the route here, so that has us from RJFU to RJTT in the MD-11. We're going up to 37,000 feet, 1 hour 40, a bit less in the air, it reckons, actually. So it should be quite a relatively short flight, but we'll have time to chat. We'll take it easy. We'll enjoy it. We have quite a good zero fuel weight of 161.9 tons. Takeoff weight, though, quite light, 178 tons, because we only need, how much fuel are we taking? Block fuel 17.4 tons, which is nothing. You can land with that much fuel in these aircraft quite comfortably. So yeah. Mr. Sonnender says, I missed the L1011 in the sim. Yes, but I believe any builds are making one, so I'm looking forward to trying that, because I would really there's a lot of interesting things about that aircraft. Now I'm a bit upset as to why the screen is so dim. There we go. Let's brighten that up. Good. So I will set the payload and fuel. Payload set, and hopefully the fuel is set, and the aircraft is now almost ready for us to get access to. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the battery, overhead panel, in the middle, electrical panel, battery on. Love this. Let me know if the sounds work. I hope you can hear this aircraft. It's got lots of cool buzzes and beeps and audio readouts for us, which I really like. Let me just sort out all my screens over here as I struggle to set up my computer, my desktop. There we go. I have tried the fly-by-wire A380, yes, a little while back. So I'd like to try it again. I did take a little flight in it recently, and it was working very nicely, I must say. So now the battery power is on, we can turn on the external power. On. And then it seems that the galley gets its own external power. I've not seen that before. Usually it's external power like 1 and 2 for these long-haul aircraft that take two external power. So we can turn that on as well. Why not? It just gives power to the galley buses, it seems. If you disconnect it, nothing else changes, but they go off. That's so you can have power to the kettles and things like that. If people want a cup of tea before you get going, why not? Let's also align the IRSs, which are up here on the top left. 1, 2, and auxiliary. Now I really like a lot of the way this aircraft is set up. That is the cargo fire automatically testing itself when you align the IRSs, and to me that's just examples of how they've thought of how to operate this aircraft with 2 crew. It's really a unique machine. It does some strange things like that. The modern way, for example, the 777. I'll talk about the 777 a lot for those of you who don't know. That's because that's what I currently fly in the real world, in my day job. But yeah, you don't have to test the cargo fire. You do on the A320. I think you do. Anyway, lots of aircraft you would test it, but more modern aircraft now, it's all done automatically. The aircraft is constantly testing these systems for you, so you don't have to do it. But this was in that sort of in-between phase, so it's sort of like, it's still the basic or more basic systems, but they're just linked together. So test those, okay, test those. I love it. It's really cool to see it and try it out. Let's get the emergency lights armed before the passengers arrive. So that goes 1 click down to arm, and what I'm going to do is put the nav lights on the outside. We don't need logo lights, it's nice and daylight out there. Perfect. Right, now we've got our flight plan imported, we've got our weights imported, so we're going to go into the FMC and get it set up. Shush says, did you switch from the 787? I did indeed, yep. By the way, the cockpit, it was great before and it's great now. I still think this is one of the better, if not one of the best flight simulator cockpits we have. The little chips of paint, the straps, all the 3D modelling. If you look around, there's just so much going on in here. I don't notice any performance issues, but I find that my computer doesn't struggle too much with Flight Simulator 2024. I think down to the streaming, but I did buy a streaming computer, so it is a relatively powerful one. If you hold the A and C test button, it will test the air system. There you go. So there's more you can test. A and C, where's that? So you can go up here, you can do the engine APU fire test if you want, which does all of those handles. Pretty cool. You have to have 3 handles, but they're hidden way up here. These are serious fire handles. You don't see this much anymore, but yeah, massive great levers to presumably mechanically disconnect those from, first of all, the generators, and then you'll shut off fuel and hydraulics to those engines. But we won't mess around with those in case I accidentally deploy an extinguisher or something and we can't get it going. So let's go around to the FMC. Align IRS is in the process. We'll go FMC1, MD-11, and I actually have a correct database. That's good. Yes, Papa, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming along. I hope you're doing well. Great to have you here. Booty, good to see you as well. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're doing very well. So yeah, I actually have a correct database. Love that. This performance factor, by the way, I don't know if many of you know what this is for. It's in a lot of FMSs. Aircraft aren't all perfect, so they will have different weights. One that might have had a repair might have extra metal panels in it. It might have a bit of an extra antenna fitted on the outside for the satellite or the Wi-Fi. So these performance factors are adjusted by the airlines to make sure that the fuel burn on the flight plan is accurate for this aircraft. So different aircraft have different performance factors. Let's just do this. It's bugging me when I look at it there. So that's what that is. So of course this is a fresh factory machine, even though it doesn't look it on the inside. So it's running exactly as expected. But if it wasn't, then that would change. Right, flight plan inits. And what we can do here is actually we can just send the route over. It's a very simple route. It's got Chiku 5, Uita, Yankee 23, Arctic, Yankee 71, X-Ray Alpha Charlie, which I've forgotten the name of. I do know it. I have been there. And then the 1 kilo, which is a typical arrival into Haneda. So if I send the flight plan to FMC, it will just populate that. ROJFU to RJTT. We're not taking alternate routes. Our alternate airport is, let me just check that. I do want that in there. It's quite a long way away. SimBrief gives unrealistically far away alternates. I will say that. RJSS. The chances are your airline would not give you the fuel to go all the way down there. It would just send you to Narita next door, because they want you to carry as little fuel as possible, really. Air system 11. Cruising level 370. And we'll be able to go straight there, so we won't have steps like that. Initialize IRS. And the cost the next day of 20. Right. It doesn't have the winds in yet, but we'll see. We'll get that loaded in a moment. If I go next page, what do I get? So this is sort of the init B. We have the, this is very much like an Airbus. It's really surprising to me how similar to the Airbus this actually is. But what I'm going to do first is just put in the runway. So we'll go to flight plan, and just like the Airbus, select the airport, departure from runway 32. We'll go northerly, and we said we're going out on the GQ5. GQ5. I love the green screen as well. I never got to fly an aircraft with the green screen, CDU, FMS, MCDU, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's what I always wanted. We're going by Uita as well. And then we're going to insert that. And now it has the departure, which we will check shortly. So let me just write down what we just put in, which I always tend to forget. And what we're going to do is scroll through, and we can put in the arrival as well. So there it is, RJTT, just like the Airbus. Select star. I don't know what runway we're expecting to land on there at the moment, so I'm going to take the ILS. Let's take the ILS 34 left. Is it the X-ray? ILS 34 left Zulu. Via. Is that 1 kilo? But we'll update this in the air. There are a lot of arrivals to scroll through. Look at this. Big airport. No transition. Cream. Insert. Okay, so we have a complete flight plan. That's good. Back to our init. Next page. So, let's put these figures in. So, our block fuel, we can actually see that. That's listed over here. 17.3, which is what we have. You would round it up, so it'll go 17.4. And then we want our zero fuel weight in there. Don't accidentally type it into the gross weight, or then things will go wrong. Zero fuel weight 161.9. 161.9. That should then populate the takeoff gross weight, which it has, 179. And these CGs, I'm just going to press to copy them over, because it's that just seems to be how this sim is set up. Vucci says, why alternate not RJAA? Yeah, I agree. It just seems to be the way SimBrief is set up, which means we actually carried a lot of extra fuel. You can see here, alternate 3.7 tons, so it's quite a bit of fuel to get over there. Marcus says, I witnessed a BA 777 go around in San Diego last week. Ah, excellent. Yes, San Diego had some low cloud, didn't they? I think they did have some. Megatron says, why did you switch away from the 787? Well, I hope to fly the 787 again. It's just when I get the opportunity to fly a different aircraft, I cannot say no. I just can't avoid it. So, yeah, I had to do it. Dr. Dorkington says, always amazes me that such big aircraft fly domestic sectors in Japan. They know how to live. Yes, they have these. It's not unusual for an aircraft of this size to do a domestic sector in Japan, which is, not something we see so much in the rest of the world. Simply Tom, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. It's very, very kind. Simply Tom says, just wanted to say thank you for the content over the years. I've been watching since before I started my first airline job on the 737, and just this week I've been offered a job on the 777. Wow. I mean, that's absolutely amazing, isn't it? So I can't believe I've been doing this that long, but that is fantastic. Thank you so much for coming along. Thank you very much for the super chat. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your story, because it's amazing. It's amazing that the channel's been going that long and that people have had whole careers forming now. And what fun, 777. So yeah, it's a fantastic machine, and you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. Dougal, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I am doing very well. I hope you as well. Peter DR, good to see you. And Peter says, don't forget to set your taxi fuel to 0.9. It won't be updated by default. Yes, thank you very much. 200 is an Airbus taxi fuel figure. I don't know why that's the default, but there we go. 0.9, so because it will take at least a ton to get something like this out to the runway, although it is a very short taxi today. 9.2 tons for the trip of an hour and a half is reasonable. We've got 5% reserves, we've got 3.7 tons for our alternate, and then 1.7 tons final fuel, so we still have an extra 1.4, 25 minutes. That is suggesting a slightly lower fuel burn than the 777, but presumably with less passengers, so there we go. Yeah, that's not bad actually. That's pretty efficient. It's going to be pretty efficient by the end of the flight anyway, because we're not too heavy. Page 3, I don't think we need to do much in there. Good. So that's init A, init B, and thank you again, Simply Tom, for the super chat. And yeah, you'll love the 777, especially from the 737. It will make a lot more sense to you than it did to me, even coming from the 787, which it is essentially the same as to operate. Right, let me think. What have we done? So we've done. I'm going to do it like an Airbus direct. Right, data, init A, flight plan, secondary, copy active, rad nav, nothing really for us to do on there, nav rad, it's just slightly different wording, init B, I mean it's exactly the same, isn't it? And finally performance, which is replaced by the takeoff approach page in here. So we're going to go over to, we've done payload. See, the load is so light. We are very, very light today. It's going to really rock it up. And we're taking off from runway 32. Get weather. We're using live weather. So hopefully... Why is my mouse doing that weird thing? It's like something is pressing on that screen. I can't quite work out what. Very odd. Anyway, that's obviously not going to work. Getting takeoff weight works, but for some reason this does not work. So I will load in the weather myself. I think what's going on is RJFU's weather is offline. Nagasaki's airport, they haven't updated it for 324 minutes. But it was a northerly breeze, so let's just go calm to be worst case. It was 2 degrees. What does the aircraft think it is now? -1, so if I just go temperature of 0. And the pressure, and they use a mix, but I think it will be hectopascals. No, it's not going to let me do that. Is, where are we going? 3028, about sea level. Oh, please work. I do need this computer to work for us. Otherwise I won't have any performance for us today. Dougal's flying the 777 on a VATSIM group flight, Los Angeles to Phoenix. Excellent. Oh, that'd be fun. Simply Tom says, I'm looking forward to having an overhead panel to work that wasn't designed in the 60s. Yes, yes. You'll be amazed. The overhead panel on the 777, you barely touch it, just to pressurize. Try the backspace key. No. Okay, this is not going well. I am completely stuck. If I can't put any performance information, we might have to revert to SimBrief, which does work nicely. What is going on? Why is it not recognizing this? Nothing I do. Found our first bug. I don't think there's any point me turning it off and on. I could just try typing it in. No. Oh, one. That's weird. Let me just change that digit. What's going to happen if I do this? I don't know what it's measuring there. Hey, there we go. Right, finally. That's lucky. 178.4. We'll do a flex takeoff. Anti-ice is not required. It's not raining out there, even though it is very cold. And we're going to go optimum flaps. It will just be 10 degrees. I haven't managed to get this aircraft heavy enough, but I will go packs on. And then we'll go calculate. And look at that, 10 degrees. It's a shame because I love the dial flap system when you get to put really funny angles in. So packs on. Flex temp of 59. You'll recognise all of this from the Airbus. Flaps 10. Outside air temperature, we're going with 0. It doesn't like 0 because you've got to put it in C, 0C, or F, whichever you're using. It took me a while to work that one out. 136, 138, 159. 136, 138, 159. So those are normal sort of speeds. A little bit slow, I suppose, but that just shows you this aircraft has quite high speeds. It's part of its having relatively. It's got the highest wing loading of any commercial airline, I understand. So yeah. He says, let's do an LDA approach into RJTT. It'll be fun. Yeah, we could give it a go. I'll see how it goes. See how I feel when I get there. No, using the keyboard didn't work as well. But there we go. We did manage to get some performance numbers in. We don't need to do the slope and wind because we're not using the weights in the box. We're using our own numbers, so it's all calculated for us. And that is the takeoff section done. I've just put FNC2 over to this. So this pink thing here, my understanding is this is a modification because it was too easy to knock this flap lever into the wrong position, which was an incident that happened a few times on the MD-11. So there we go. I will just scroll our dialer flap to 10 as well, because that's what we're going to use for takeoff, which is actually the lowest you can set it to. Right, so that is now done. Get that master warning. Let us... Oh, we do need to arm the emergency electric. I should have done that already. And I'm going to fire up the APU, which is so easy. We just press AP power, and it will flash as it powers up. And we can check the progress on this engine 2 display here as it fires itself into life. So I think we've done all the FMS. Let me just check through. Yeah, we've loaded all that in. We've done the weights, done the performance. So let's just check. We've got QNH 3228, 80 feet, which is good. We're just above sea level here. I'm going to check that our clean speed is 225, so we can accelerate straight to 250. So 250 goes in the window, not B2 unusually, but 250. We're taking off from runway 34, so let's put 34 in there. And now I've got to get this sequence exactly right, and this is where it gets a little bit fiddly. So we can't really do the rest of that until I've checked the chart. So let's go to our charts. So let's see if I can get this. Well, at least that works. So we might have luck here. So it's a small airport. I should have probably checked the runway was big enough to do this. We don't need to do any turns on the runway, as far as I can tell. Taking up 32, sorry, it's runway 32, 325 degrees. Let's put 325 in. That's our initial heading. And our SID, EQ5, so about 500 feet, up to Foxtrot Uniform 200, then a right turn to Toki, right turn Heisen, above 13,000. It'd be interesting to see. At this weight, actually, we'll have no trouble doing that. What we can do is just go flight plan. Let's put some lights on so you guys can see everything. Lots and lots of lights. Always put the lighting on for you guys. Ba, ba, ba. This is old school, so lots of separate dials. The 777, Tom, has a much better lighting system where you effectively just have to use one dial. It's really, really great to control everything. This one isn't the worst one, actually. 3 isn't too bad, but there we go. So, right, 500 feet or above, functional uniform 200, Toki, and then above 13,000 at Heisen, below 170 at Mutu, which it's got all the restrictions above 190 and then 370 and then to Uita, out to there. So that's all looking good. We have a departure, reasonable enough. Igloo Foo says, I just did a flight and live weather didn't load. Had 32 degrees TAT at 370. Yes, that would be a problem. Yeah, even getting a TAT near 0 becomes very problematic for aircraft. They're not designed for it. Right. APU should be running. It's all looking good on there. It's available on there. So we'll get rid of the galley power. Go to the external power. And I'm going to turn on the APU bleeds. So the air conditioning packs can now work. That's good. See, it doesn't take long. This will be almost ready to go at past, which was the scheduled block time I gave it. So basically down to our taxi chart now. Make sure we know our way out. So we're parked on terminal here. We're going to go back, push back, and then head down southeast runway 32. Right, so let's make sure we get this panel set up. I want to stop altitude on that SID. Well, not entirely clear actually. What was it? Initial climb from 32, 170 at or above. So really, it would just be down to air traffic. But I'm going to put 170 in the window to start with. By the way, this is one of the best scrolling windows. You can do it in small chunks. And then if you scroll it quickly, it works really nicely. How do I... There was a way to do it in hundreds. How have I not managed to do that? Do I have to pull it? Or push it in? Nope. I don't know. Anyway, 17,000, which flight level 170 goes to magenta, because just like on the Airbus, this uses the magenta system for telling us when it's planned out by the aircraft, so that's good. On my nav display, I want to display nearby airports. I want to display traffic, if there is any, which it is, CCAS off. And we'll have data to show us the restrictions, which is a very Boeing sort of thing. You are right in between the two sort of types of aircraft here, definitely. Right, so we've got the QNH set, we've got 250 knots, we've got the runway heading, and we're stopping at 170. We turned the APU off, the APU on, and we're running with that. We've got the GPU, we set the data flap. Passengers should all be on now, so we can have the no smoking on, which an aircraft of this age may have just about experienced passenger smoking on it. APU bleeds on, let's get ready to pressurize. So, services, close, disconnect, remove. That's good, it does remember the charts, I'm happy about that. I'm going to go with ignition system A today. So that's running on the engines, and that will give us something to start with. We've got our fuel in the split evenly in the 3 tanks. We should do a long haul flight. I would really like to do a long haul flight in an aircraft like this, just to get a taste of what it's actually like, because that's what they're designed for, and they've got sort of fuel tanks all over the place, tanks in the tail to try and trim it out and things like that. So that'd be pretty fun, I think. Set up the pushback in less than 30 minutes, says Booty. I know. Well, we haven't gone anywhere yet. By the way, this airport is a default airport. This is one of the good ones. That's why I was quite excited to fly from here. Look how good the terminal is. Dusseldorf is another one I've discovered recently. It's really nice. So there are some good ones coming out in Flight Simulator 2024. There are some good airports, but you just have to know which one you're aiming for, because there are plenty that are just awful. But look at that. This must be an included one, because it had a little star on it as well when I chose it on the map. I'm sorry if I'm missing anything in the chat. It's hundreds at lower altitudes, 500s at the high ones. There you go. So that's the FCU altitude window setting. It's just another example of how this airplane thought of these things. I'm really impressed. According to TFDi, it has sensors in the real MD-11 that can sense the CG automatically. That's why you have the CG numbers in the takeoff page. That's very good. The 777 can sense a range, so the 777 can tell you that it's not loaded properly. If you've given it the different number to what it thinks is going on, the 777 will actually give you a stab green band warning, it's called. So when you set the stab, it has to fit into this green area, which will move depending on the weight of the aircraft, the pressure sensors. So it's pretty good. That could save someone's life, definitely. Right, ignition system, APU bleed, beacon light. Let's put that on. Which is down here. Beacon. I love that it's amber. The important lights are in amber. The optional logo are in blue. And we're going to turn on the hydraulic aux pump. There we go. And that will pressurize some parts of the hydraulic system. Right. I think the aircraft is ready for pushback. If we jump outside. I'm having trouble with chase plane. Let me see if I can work through this. There we go. No, no, my plan is not working. I can't get it to reliably go to spot view. Anyway, there we go. Aircraft's ready to go. We're going to push and we're going to taxi out there. So let's see. Let's do. I know what we should do. I can't get nearest parking to work very easily either. That's a shame. So let's get the tug connected. Here it comes. If you are watching and enjoying, thank you, Peter. Yeah, if you are, please do leave a like. It makes a big difference to the channel. It really, really does. So thank you very much for those of you who have left a like. Dr. Wilkinson says, not tempted by the new SR71 add-on? I didn't know it was out. Who's making that? I'm very interested in an SR71 add-on. Absolutely. I do agree, Booty. This is a beautiful livery. Yes. So off it goes. The parking brake is often not set in this add-on when you start. So I suspect ours wasn't set, which is why I did that. Right. So that is going. It's time that we start up the engines. We're going to start with 3. I've been told that we should start engine number 3 first. Really straightforward. That's at idle. Or close enough. And we're going to pull the start. It lights up. We wait for 15% here. It is spinning in the right direction, slowly starting. Love this window view. Love this interior plastic as well with all these little dots. 15%. Takes a little while to get there. But once it does, we introduce fuel. We get a little fuel flow at the bottom. And we're on the way. Exciting. See, this is Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is at its best, isn't it? We've got a really nice add-on aircraft. We've got great scenery. And good sounds. I think we'll stop the push there. And set the parking brake. So the tug can disconnect. If it didn't already let go of us, which it looks like it might have done. Now we're going to start engine number 1. So my understanding is from one of the comments I had on my previous videos that the reason we do 3 first is the same as on the Airbus for starting number 2, which was to get the hydraulic system pressurized, which makes sense. 12, 30, this is so slow, 14, 15. This is an old school way of starting an engine these days, although it does seem to be monitored pretty well, but these days we would, you can just switch start and put them fuel levers on. And before I compliment this aircraft too much, it did compete with the 777, so it should be similar in terms of its hydraulics. Oh, that's right. There's also that aux pump one is just down here. Instead of going to reach to the back of the overhead panel, you can press it there. Someone did remind me of that. Early access for the SR71. Thanks very much. I'll have a look for that, definitely. Blackbird simulations. Alright, that engine started. And we'll start the famous, the one and only engine number 3. Love that. The MD-11 also uses the advanced sort of inlet, slightly widened inlet, which allows better airflow into the engine, I suppose. I love this design. This silhouette of the MD-11 and DC-10 is just great. Just great. Especially in this livery. Also, there's some really old school Airbusy things in this aircraft. For example, the taxi lights are on the nose gear, but the landing lights fold out here. We'll see those in a moment. Oh yeah, better turn on the fuel, otherwise that engine's not doing much. There it goes. Jamie K says, never realised the size of the engines, they look tiny. Well, there are 3 of them. But yeah, compared, because obviously what you're used to seeing is more modern turbofans with much higher bypasses, and then obviously only 2 of them, so they would therefore be larger. For an aircraft this size, you're looking at the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 on a 787, that sort of thing. But at this weight, we could probably get in the air with just those 2. But yeah, I'm not sure. They're not CFM56s. They are CFM. These are GE. There's a GE on this one, but there's Pratt & Whitney as well. Right. Engines are all up and running. That's good news. So, another great feature. Turn off the APU bleeds, and the APU will eventually automatically shut itself down, which is absolutely fantastic. Flaps go to the dialer flap, which is there, so they'll run to 10 degrees. I do really struggle in this aircraft to see where the flap setting is, so I'm not entirely sure where I'm supposed to look for that. I think it's there. Is that just the setting? It shows travelling, and it shows what I've set. So I've set 10 and travelling. I see. So slats have travelled, flaps are now at 10. I think that's the idea there. Maybe that's it. Pretty subtle indication of flaps, I must say. Spoilers, we click. It took me ages. In my video I couldn't work out. You have to do that to arm it. And auto brakes up here go to the takeoff setting. So they're ready for an RTO. Trim. Go to takeoff page. Trim should be set to stab 4.9. It's at 3. So nose up. Not the easiest setting to get right, but there it is. 4.9 on the trim. And now I'm going to arm my takeoff modes. At the moment it just has pitch and takeoff, but after that I wanted to fly along the flight plan, so nav and the vertical profile, so profile. And there we go. Right, we're going to taxi out. So we'll put on this middle one that goes to taxi. That's all we need. That's the taxi lights on the nose gear. Because if we turn on the landing lights, you'll see they have a middle position, but that's not taxi. That just extends them out here, and they get in the way. I bet that was noisy on the flight deck. I'll leave them out there for now. It's not going to make much difference. So we're going to make a right turn. Let's get this correct. Right turn over there. Runway's back that way. Good stuff. Parking brake is released. Let's get underway. We're almost on schedule. I can't believe it. Oh. No, don't do this. Please don't do this. My controls are doing that thing again where the flaps run. They haven't done this for ages. Oh dear. See the power on engine number 1. We'll sort out the flap lever in a moment. Yeah, it's just run. That's a shame. It's the cable underneath getting a little bit out of date. It's a bit old, I think. They've had a hard life, this my Thrustmaster TCA. Like I say, they haven't done that for ages. So it needs a little bit of oomph. We're taking a hard corner here right at the start. What a beast. And it is a beast. Like I say, 286 tons is heavy. There's not many aircraft that go heavier than that. You're just looking at things like the 777-300 is a bit heavier and bigger, but that is a later aircraft. And of course, things like the 747-380. But not many at all. Right, out we go. Nice and quiet out here today, so let's make life easy. I should have said something about VATSIM, but there is no one around, so I'm not going to get too excited about VATSIM. Right, we've got a green box down here, which tells us the config is correct for takeoff. I like that, quite straightforward. Again, a bit like the Airbus's takeoff memo. Something you don't get on the Boeings at all. They don't bother with any of this. It's bizarre to me how similar this is to the Airbus. If I do the flight controls, no. I was wondering if it would bring up the flight control page for us as well. I've got to do it myself. So if I go config, we'll see it over there. And then you can run them. Now, a long-haul aircraft like this may have done this before taxi, but Airbuses don't. So, and they go green when you hit the outer limits. Slow it right down. Doing over 20 knots is already a bit much. It'll take a while for the cabin to get ready on an aircraft of this size. All green. All green. Good. That's all looking good. So we'll go back to engine. I like the engine 2 page. So we're in trim. We've got everything set up. So, yeah, I think we're ready to go. We're going to put the landing lights on. We're going to put the high intensity on. That's the strobes on the beacon. And we'll put the transponder, which we should have done earlier as well, to TARA. So we can see anyone out there. As we are on that sim, there is a chance of that. I should also go to Unicom. 122 8. And let's try not to drive off the end into the water while we fiddle around with that. MD-11 was a progressive aircraft. The MD-11, yeah, it's really basic, and the takeoff in particular, we'll see in a second, is quite straightforward. I'm going to press the auto flight button once as we get closer to the runway. Do remind me to do that, please, because that is quite important for getting this thing up in the air. Now there you go. Look how if you cut the corner, my main gear will track inside that line. But yeah, really nice visuals on this now. But see that, see how, and these lines sometimes seem to go really wide, and this is exactly the reason why. If pilots cut the corner a little bit, don't, especially on longer turns. Sort of hard 90-degree turns are easier than turns like this, so that's why the taxiway widens on the inside there, and the line runs to the outside, so that you can't really get it too wrong. It always surprises me when I'm sitting on these aircraft. I think the main gear is way out to the sides, and actually it's pretty close in. It's more the length that's going to get you. Especially on the MD-11 and DC-10, where the nose gear in particular is way behind the flight deck. That's actually a breach. We've basically gone over that line, so that wouldn't be much good. So lights are on, clear on the approach. We'll say we're clear to line up, which is why that was fine. Let's get onto the runway. Dr. Dilkington says, do pilots comment on the taxiing going on around them? Yeah, if it's noticeable, you might be tempted to. You wouldn't say anything on the radio, but you sometimes follow an aircraft and you think, it's a bit strange. That's not really what I expect them to be doing. So, lining up. Nice scenery. I'm hoping this will be quite a nice view on this flight. Still got our flaps at 10. That's good news. Now, it's not the longest runway in the world, so we will get it right. Although, like I say, we're so light. With 3 engines, this airplane is going to rocket into the sky. I wanted. Let's get it. Yeah, I can't get the nearest runway to work. That's a shame. No main body steering on this aircraft at all. Hence why we've just gone through that. But we're ready to go. So, let's do it. We're going to push the thrust levers forwards. And I'm going to press auto flight once. There we go. Thrust levers forwards. The engines will stabilise. And then I'll push them over 70%, and the auto throttle system can take over and drive them towards takeoff. And away we go. Really love that. Already at 80 knots. Absolutely no trouble at all. So much power in this thing. I'm not sure it needs nose down pressure on the yoke, because it's got that engine up on the tail, which probably pushes the nose down a bit as well. And V1 rotate. We're done in this first touchdown zone. Up into the air. Positive rate. Gear up. This is ridiculous. And we're just going to end up going through 20 degrees, I'm sure, on this takeoff. We're above the flat retract speed already. So stable. Really, really nice flight handling on this. Look at that, 22. You don't see this on any aircraft these days. The 757 was probably the last that had this sort of excess performance. But as we said, modern aircraft don't have it anymore. 787s have huge D-rates, so they take off at about 10 degrees pitch. And 777 has less. The 777 is higher, in the 15 degrees, something like that. 777 does go. But that, it might as well be vertical. It might as well be vertical. Ridiculous, right? Nose down. It does require trimming. This is not an Airbus once it's in the air. We're 10 knots above FR, so we can bring the lever forward to just the slats position. And once we're 10 knots above SR, the slat retract speed, so it goes green when you're above it, which is a really clever little feature, and then slats up. So we're already clean, 220 knots, and it's going to accelerate us to 250 knots, or the speed limits on this departure, which happens to also be 250 knots. The stabilizer does have to run a lot. It's quite a weak stabilizer because it's small. They shrunk it for this aircraft to make it more efficient. And this is part of the thing. Let me put the autopilot in by pressing autoflight, and then we get AP1. This is part of the thing that causes it to have issues in crosswind landings because of the weaker stabilizer because it's smaller. By the way, you can see SE up here. This is the slats extended speed. This is the limit. So we've got to get below that to extend the slats. So the other speed was the low speed. You know, we needed them out by that speed. That's the speed limit for them. So it goes green to show that you're on the right side of it, effectively. Right, we're going up to flight level. So if I can remember how. Standards. 29902. And we're going to be up there in no time at all. There's no one around. So I'm just going to put 320 in the window, but I'm going to allow it by not pulling it, which would be like an Airbus open climb. Let's go already through 10,000 feet and accelerating. Let's get rid of those noisy landing lights, fold those in. And passengers can walk around, taxi light off, seatbelts, auto. And we are underway. Yeah, it's now going to fly those restraints on the departure all for us, which is pretty cool. I think we have some other wing views as well in here. There you go, you see the wing. Beautiful. Lovely scenery. Stephen says, I love your tutorials a lot. Thank you very much, Stephen. The voice, the knowledge and background info. Is it therefore possible for you to consider a short 45-minute tutorial for the Phoenix from cold and dark to shutdown? Yeah, so I've done longer form tutorials on the Phoenix and other airliners, but I did my first sort of short form tutorial, like you say, about 45 minutes on the MD-11 recently. And it seems to be people like it, so I might redo them. But if you want a tutorial on the Phoenix, I have lots of tutorials on the channel. But in terms of a short one, I haven't done one yet, but I'm considering what I can do. Yes, I might well do some more tutorials on the other aircraft, especially as those Phoenix ones have been out for a while now. So I don't know if people are still clicking on them or whether they want new ones. It's hard for me to know what the algorithm wants. Now, there's no weather out here, so we'll go to terrain. If I can remember how to do that. Weather. Oh no, it's on terrain already. That's fine. I can't see it. There we go. And we can push that for weather radar. We'll go to terrain. Good. Yeah, so if people would like, I could do some shorter, sort of more condensed tutorials like I did for the MD-11 to give a full flight. And I think that might be useful for some people with just a bit of extra context, not the full sort of me sitting there talking for hours, because I know my videos are quite long. Now this is something I can barely understand, this wind components, but it looks like we have a very, very strong tailwind already that's pushed us through, so we're not actually managing these waypoints because the aircraft is just getting blown through so fast. 75 knot tailwind at 16,000 feet, that's pretty serious. That would have been quite a rough climb out, I suspect, with some serious turbulence there. Fuan says, do you fly the 300 or 200? I have flown both. Dougal says that 45-minute limit is great for tutorials. Our poor brains don't get overwhelmed. Yeah, exactly. I think it's easier. It is easier to follow. I can definitely see the advantage. Stephen says the shorter ones are better for refreshers. Perfect. Okay, well that makes sense. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, love it. Thank you very much. We are absolutely rocketing along now. No wonder this flight's so short. This is going to be actually way shorter than I imagined. Anyway, we can also turn off the auto brakes. They don't automatically turn off. One of the few omissions of automation in this aircraft. And I had something else I wanted to do, which was disarm the ground spoilers, and dial flap goes to 15 because we'll use the 15 setting on the approach. So this is where the system isn't so great. But it is interesting seeing this because in a weird way Boeing has come back to something similar but not the same. So in this aircraft you've got flaps up, you've got 0 where just the slats deploy, then you've got a setting, whatever you want it to be, and then you've got landing settings. 28, 35, 50, although you land at 35 or 50. I imagine 28 is the landing setting for emergencies when you have a performance restriction, like you've lost an engine. So look at it go, look at it go. 2,500 feet per minute through 18,000 feet with a massive tailwind like that. So what happened was the 787-8s, the original ones, they launched with just a few settings, same as the 777. You've got up, or 0 as it were, and then you've got 5, 15, 20, 25, 30. And the problem with that is it limits your takeoff options. So you have to take off with a minimum of flap 5, and then your other options are 15 and 20. So those are quite a lot of flap. So what Boeing did on the 787-9s and 10s to help with the takeoff performance and allow even more D rates is just to fine tune those numbers. On the 787-9s and 10s, there's loads of flap settings. You've got like 15, 17, 18, 20. So there's way more, which is effectively like this. Being able to fine tune your takeoff flap allows the performance to be put just right, so that you can do the most flex temperature or lift the most weight you can on that day, because you don't want too much flap. It provides a lot of drag once you're up in the air. So I wonder if this is sort of part of the history of that, of just having loads of takeoff flap settings, just having this dialer flap, like the DC-8 had. Which says, based on the tutorials, I have flown the EasyJet sim at Gatwick from cold and dark to circuit and land. Fantastic, excellent. How great is that? That must have been good fun. I remember my first time flying a full-size Airbus simulator, and I still remember it. Cactus Bravo says, have you experienced the issue with nav data? If yes, how do you solve it? I haven't experienced it myself. Ben says you can dial a flap by putting the lever between gates. Indeed, although that doesn't work in the 777. Yeah, on the Boeings, they do just have commanded positions. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Can we slow down the climb at all? Perth. No. We don't actually have any winds loaded. I did fail to do that, which wouldn't be such a concern on a flight of this length. Where is the winds? This aircraft. Because it might make it might make a difference for the descent. If anyone knows where to enter the winds. It's normally on the flight plan page on a Boeing. First revisions. No, I don't know. So we're going to be at 32,000 feet in no time. Then we'll have a bit of time in the cruise. Okay, we will have a bit of time. That's good. I did the nav data via Navigraph Hub. Simply Tom says, how did you find handling an Airbus versus a Boeing in gusty conditions? I feel like the lack of feel in an Airbus can make it easy to over control. It can, yeah, that's absolutely fair. The Airbus flying with the side stick, it's easy to move the side stick too much. In a weird way, it doesn't quite over control, because in a Boeing, when in these older generation Boeings and MD-11s and things, I just hit the autopilot now, and then I move it. That's the control I get. You can actually see it shake. I quite like that, because it would do, because obviously we're doing 200, 300 knots here. But as you move the controls, you get that response. So this is over controlling, and that's very dangerous, right? There's been instances because of it. Put it back in. In the Airbus, when you move the control, if you move the control column like that, it's just commanding a rate. So the controls will move to try and get to that rate. But what actually happens is, because there's a bit of delay as it works it all out and puts the controls in, it doesn't quite go to full deflection, and you end up you're just stirring the porridge, it's called. You're just moving the side stick around, and no result is happening. The flight path isn't really changing, but it's still easy to do. And I remember when if I'd been, on a long day or an early start, and I'm landing the aircraft, or it's late at night, when I was landing an Airbus in sort of even normal conditions or slightly windy conditions, I'd have to sort of consciously remind myself, don't stir the porridge, don't stir the pot. take it easy on the side stick, because it's very easy otherwise to just over control. And it's something that is seen on Airbus aircraft a lot, especially with new pilots, but even experienced pilots get into just a habit of doing it, thinking they're making it better. You actually see it, you can see it in videos on YouTube as well. You can see some quite impressive side stick movements right in the flare, where the stick is going full deflection, left, right, back, forward, and ultimately it's not really doing anything. The controls aren't doing that. They're just sort of ignoring it, or they're not ignoring it, but they're working towards what you've asked, but you're not giving it time to even deliver that. Booty says, what will take over from the cargo workhorses as they slowly get retired? Yeah, I don't know. 777s maybe. These tends to be the older fleets of the airlines, doesn't it, that go to cargo. Quite why that's the case, I've never quite worked out. Tom says, you can imagine me going from 7.3 to a 320 for my sim assessment, less is more. Exactly, because the 320 is relatively stable. I've never flown a 737, or I have flown a 737 sim, but yeah, the Airbus is a very stable machine. It won't naturally deviate from what you've asked, really. Jamie says, what's better and worse on a 777 compared to the 787? I might make a video on that. I think I will, actually. But what I'll say is the 787 is, there you go, 1,000 feet to go. I love the way it says altitude. The 787 is very good in the cruise. It's got lovely bendy wings which ride turbulence really well. It's got fantastic wing shape, so it has huge performance margin. A bit like we do here, right? You just got loads of room. It's pretty good on the 777, but I'd say it's better on the 787. It's fast and it goes high early on in the flight, so it gets you up above the weather quite well. You can get yourself up to 38,000 feet right at the start. 777-300 at the start of a long haul flight, you're looking at flight level 320, 330, very low indeed. So that means you are right there with the weather as well. Oh, it's planning 37. I know I had 32 in my head, but yeah, let's go all the way up. So we go 37, and it will now carry on the climb. All in magenta. So now we're doing what the flight plan expected. What else? The 787 has a more modern flight deck than 777, but I quite like the brown on the 777 just because it reminds me of the 757 that I always wanted to fly. So purely for selfish reasons, I like that. But it's more comfortable. The 787 has more comfortable seats. They recline better than the. I mean, these seats are actually, these are very, very similar to what you have in the. In fact, these are nicer. These are nicer than the ones in the 777. The 777 seats are not good. I don't really understand why they have to be quite as bad as they are, in my opinion. Anyway, some pilots don't mind them, but I'm not a fan. Yeah, this is quite a similar layout actually, even the way this headrest is. Oh, what have I pressed? Don't do that. I heard something click. 37. Oh, the VS. It's gone into VS. Back to profile. There we go. Andrew Wilson, hello. John Della says, I've been very impressed at how they've managed to reproduce a sense of heft in this sim. Not noticed it so much, even in some of the other heavies. Agreed. I think the ground handling of this MD-11 is the best ground handling I've seen in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, certainly, and probably 2020. This aircraft feels heavy and it's predictable, and I can put decent sized rudder inputs and the airplane doesn't overreact as if it's on rails. You know, it makes sense. Oh, we're going to get a contrail, three engine contrail maybe? Yes, there it is. Love that. That's cool. You don't see that anymore. Last 1,000 feet to go. Yeah, so I think this is excellent. This aircraft, just straight out of the box, feels like a long haul heavier machine on the ground. And the only thing I really, like I say, want to do is try driving it around at maximum weight to get a real feel for it. Tom says 777 has a more powerful feeling than the 787, less derate. Yes, on takeoff, the 787 has lots of power. it's not underpowered. In fact, you can tell when you climb it up, and when you immediately take it up to 380, you have loads of performance margin. It's clear that the engines can do it. It's just because it is allowed to derate so heavily on takeoff compared to the 777, it can feel underpowered on takeoff, but it's not. But it will run long takeoff rolls. Every takeoff in the 787 is in the opposite end of the runway, the touchdown zone, with the end coming up to meet you, which is quite unnerving at first. It's quite a different sensation to what you're used to in an A320 and even a 777. So the 777 just takes off like a short-haul airplane. It's really amazing. Every now and then your plane will be so heavy, the winds will be such that you still reach the other end of the runway, but the 777 generally is just so much more powerful, which leaps into the air. Greenman Official says, hope you're well, missed you in the 320s, thanks for all you've shown me. You're very welcome. Well, I might do a 320 video soon, or maybe a stream or a tutorial. Yeah, I'd like to get back in the 320. It's been a little while. I'm starting to forget things, really basic things about it. So I think I'll have to do that. Yeah, we have absolutely ridiculous tailwinds. I couldn't have chosen a quicker flight today. I did not mean for it to be this fast. I thought it would take a lot longer. I'm pretty sure it has in the past. Yeah, that is, yeah, ludicrous. Ground speed 632, and we're doing Mach 8.1. That's ridiculously fast. Oh, who put our window down? There we go. This cabin, by the way, they completely overdid the cabin. It's the most outrageous interior I've ever seen. Click on everything. Then I have to put it away. So this passenger's going to have to move for landing. Get in trouble. Oh, there we go. Same with the overhead lockers. Fantastic. I cannot wait to see the interior cabin of the TriStar, because that is famous for being so sort of Art Deco and spacious. This one looks very standard. It's a very standard cabin. The only difference is that gives away its age is these CRT screens up here. Oh, they got a little picture on them. Nice. Yeah, what a beauty. By the way, you can see those smudges around the windows and the doors. That's air leaking out from around the seals, if you can believe it. But yeah, the TriStar has a really remarkable cabin, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. So we've got 4 in the middle here, but 5 in the middle there. Yeah, this is a big airplane. Oh, but it's only 2 on the sides. Okay, so it's not quite as wide as a 777, which is what I would expect. Look at that. Like I said, there are cabins out there like this. I think iFly is one. Was that the soap? I don't know what I'm pressing now. Gotta be careful here. Yeah, very good. Right, we need to start getting ready, because we're going to run out of time here. Where's the top of the descent marker? It must be coming up in no time. There it is there already. Yikes. Nathan says, long live the L1011. Dr. Dilkington, thank you so much for your £5 super chat. Really appreciate it. Dr. Dilkington says, hope there's something nice going in the galley for after the flight. Yes, there is something nice in the fridge for after the flight indeed. There always is on my streams. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Thanks for coming on today. I hope you are enjoying it. Thank you very much. Very kind. Piano Learner says, any idea why the public won't accept backwards facing seats on planes when they do on trains? I flew in a TriStar with backwards facing seats and it was fine. Yes, there were backwards facing seats in an ATR I once flew in as a passenger as well. It's rare. Why don't they accept it? I don't know. I think airlines don't really want it, because unless it's some sort of awkward position where you could fit one in, the reality is in the cabin you'd probably have less seats. I suppose you could have a nice sort of lounge area though. If you had a group travelling together, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Or like they do on the trains in Japan, where they could fold this seat that way, but then I suppose they recline and they'd all hit each other. So maybe it just takes up too much space. Maybe this is just too neat of a format. Thought we could bring out a safety card. So not a very quick airplane. 8.1 is not that fast. 7.3, the 787 will be at 8.5, which is quite a bit faster. The 777 typically 8.3, 8.1 to 8.3. So this is a little bit slower, definitely. So that's quite interesting to me. And what's its fuel burn? Is this in kilograms? It's not going to tell me now, is it? Fuel kilograms, 13 tons. So I'm assuming that's kilograms. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's about 7 tons an hour. So that fuel flow at 8.1 is very similar to a 777, to be fair. But this is when the airplane is almost empty. The 777 burns that at the start of the flight. And not to bang on about the 777 too much, but the 777 obviously has more passengers and more weight, so can lift more cargo. Folks, good evening to you. Thanks for coming along. In the military, they're all backwards this panel. There you go. Interesting. Greenman says, do you do 320 Sim Pilot merchandise? There is some available. I haven't updated it for a long time. The pricing's all wrong. So, but it is available if you bought it on YouTube. You'll see it underneath my channel. Mega says it goes a fair bit faster at high Cossacks. Yeah. So what? But I'm just looking at the speed margin. So what could we get it to? So we're in FMS speed. If I pull this, I can force it to do whatever I fancy. Oh yeah. Okay. So 8.3 is not unreasonable. It's still got a bit of a gap, although I don't know how likely is it would sit there. What if I go to init out to the Costa X? Then hit FMS speed. 8.23. So it is a bit slower, but yeah. I take the point that it's not got to be at 8.1. Quite an interesting scale on this speed tape. There's a lot of wasted space now. We're just talking about these fractions in here. It's interesting. I wonder how airline manufacturers decide this. I quite like this. We can see the nav aids being used in purple, and we can see the flight time, 23 minutes. I mean, this is going to be the shortest stream we've ever done, I think. Maybe we can do a circuit once we get there. So what we need to do now is just build up a picture of our arrival. RJTT. Which is not going to do now. That's alright. If I can dispatch your arrival airport charts. No, it's not having it. I will. Oh, there we go. It's woken up. Navigraph's always updating, adding some cool new feature. That was our previous flight. Look at that. So we are rapidly working our way along here, and then we're coming in from the southwest. And then you fly one of these big arrivals round via Zach, which is not called Zach. So let's get it right. It's called Oshima. That's what it's called. This is a bit confusing, but yeah, Oshima is X-ray Alpha Charlie. So what arrival did we put in? Kilo. This is Lima Romeo. So many arrivals. Oshima 1 kilo, please. There it is. There's so many different ways to do it. 2 Charlie. Why is my overlay not working? Oh, it's completely crashed. Victor Mushton, thank you so much for the 60 zloty. Thank you. Victor says, I feel sorry for those sitting on economy seats. It's always nice to see you streaming. Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you so much for coming along. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, those seats do look pretty crowded back there on this one in particular. Normally I think we have quite luxurious aircraft on these streams, but this is an economy machine. In fact, I'm not even sure it has a business class out here. By the way, I love that there's a seat with just a nice window view. That'd be a great seat to fly from, wouldn't it? Just stare out the window all day. Oh no, we do have a bit of a premium cabin. Not much. Pretty old school style premium seat. Well, it is an old school airplane. Makes sense. And then that's it, straight to economy. Yeah. Busy, busy. Don't think we can fold anything out on these seats. That'd be really cool. Yes, we can. Little tray table. Just don't forget, you're relying on the screen. Is there a big projector in this front cabin, or maybe the screens will fold out up here? That's just in the overhead locker. Right, fold this away for landing. Thank you. Yeah, it's great. This is such a detailed thing. Detailed add-on. Thank you again, Victor. Really appreciate the super chat. Let's close that up. Good. Lots of certificates, lots of things going on here. It's sanitary construction. Right, anyway, 1 kilo, 1 kilo, 1 kilo. There it is, yeah, 1 kilo. So that's a plan by Cream, so it's going to go that way, and then it will go to Cream, I suppose? That doesn't seem right. No, we're going to have to go to plan, so I hit plan, decrease the range. Then we'll go to the CDU, whatever they would call it in the MD-11. And just check. Out to Wanda, yeah, all looks good. Wedge, Kai-Ho, and then it's going out to Cream, which is not realistic, so we should change that arrival. And we're doing ILS34 left. Let me check the weather. So we get performance. We're literally running out of time to do all this. Get weather information. It is a northerly wind, so 310. They probably would just land you straight in. Look at that, loads of room. With that wind, doing the LDA doesn't make much sense because you're going to give yourself a tailwind. The LDA approach, I had done a video on it. I have a video on my channel flying the 777 on the LDA into Tokyo. It's pretty cool. They don't want you flying the ILS straight over the top of the city, so you would you sort of come in over this bay, and then you fly down here, and then you make a left turn at the last minute and land on one of these runways. It's sorry, this runway here, not one of these two runways. This runway. So you just sort of fly it, and then you just turn the last bit. It's really cool. But with the wind as it is, we'll probably fly in over the bay here and then join the ILS from Kai-Ho, which I think would mean taking the ILS. At this rate, we're going to fly straight over the top of the airport before I figure this out. Oh, this is a bit of a pain, this scrolling system and these charts. I might have to give up and swap to Navigraph. In fact, I will, because I can't keep doing that all day. So there's Oshima 1 kilo. What's all this nonsense? Get rid of that. There we go. RJTT. Approach. ILS 34. Left. ILS Zulu 34 left. Kai-Ho hopefully. No. Wrong. So is it the Yankee? Okay, now we can do it. So I've got to change everything that I've done, of course. I didn't do it properly. There's 34 left Yankee. Oshima 1 kilo, which is the Zach. X-ray Alpha Charlie 1 kilo. We'll get there eventually. It can't be like this though, especially an airport of this size. now we're into the next problem, which is that doesn't actually tie up. So why is that? Let's have a look. See, the Boeing would just let you put in anything. It wouldn't really complain. 3-4 left and right. Yeah. Why is the 1 kilo not showing up in my... Apologies everyone, while I work this out. That's 2-2, yeah. We could do the 2 Charlie. That would be by cream. Oh goodness me. Try the Oshima 1 Alpha, which goes to Arlon, not Kaiho. This is bizarre. Kaiho. So this works. So this is just weird to me. This is a puzzle you sometimes find yourself in. And this is when it really helps when someone on the flight deck has been before. I suspect this is down to me choosing the wrong things here. So let's just pick our approach. We're landing on 3-4, left or right. With that wind, we could do the LDA. And it was in flight simulator 2020. So it's like this, you see. Should we try it? We can always go around, can't we? We've got extra fuel. And then on 2-2 is the more exciting one. It's just a bit of a tailwind. It's only 4 knots tailwind. You could always arrive, and they could put you on this arrival anyway from Kaiho. Yankee 2-2. It's a Zulu. It's from Bacon. Let's do the Yankee by Kaiho. I think we'll try that. We'll try that. I think it'll be good fun. We've got to have fun sometimes, haven't we? Now I'm going to find the... bear with me, the agony as I try and find this connection. Modern... can we... No, I thought modern apps will filter by the runway you're landing on. So I would select LDA Yankee 22, and then it would just show me stars that connect to that. So let's find runway 22. That's the Bacon one. That's something. That's 3-4 left, right. It's 1-6. 2-2. 9 on. Alright, this is getting ridiculous. Oshima. 1 Bravo, shaft, and then Bacon. And now let's find the LDA that ties onto that, onto 2-2. We're getting there, we are getting there, I promise. LDA Zulu, which makes sense. So these are the most commonly used ones. Okay, we're getting there. Goodness me, that was painful. So let's try to find out they're not in the box. We've got an RS22, which they don't use because it brings you over the city. Lock 2-2, lock 2-3. But localizer 2-2 would just be this. No, it's not even in the box. Oh, what a disaster. E8193, thanks for coming along. Glad you enjoyed the channel. Sorry for what you're now watching, which is me just wrestling with a FMS. Brian says, we'd love to see you fly the checkerboard approach in Kaita. Yes, I must do that one day. I must do that indeed. Right, so why on earth we don't... This does not seem to be coded in here at all. Unless we scroll to the bottom, let's do that. Let's lock RNAV. That's all we get. VOR. LDA, we found it. Zulu 22. Quick, while we can see it. LDA Zulu 22. Via Oshima 1 Bravo. See if we can convince this to work. Zacon Bravo. And the transition point is Bacon. Doesn't seem interested in that. This is starting to get frustrating. That's still 1 kilo. Right, last attempt at this. Or I'm just going to leave it as it is and we'll just find exactly what's in the box. It's getting silly. And we've flown past the start of the arrival. Could be the thing that's going on here. LVA 22 Zulu. No, it won't even let me take it. Absolutely no idea why. Zacon Bravo. We go to heading select. Will that make you happier? No. What is min profile? What's it asking for that? Min, I don't know what that's saying. I'm going to insert it as it is. And now let's see, does it go by Bacon? Okay, it does. 5,000 feet. Okay, my goodness. That has got to be the most painful entry ever done. 5,000 feet, which is the platform from Bondo. 3.25 degree slope down, although it does show a level, so we'll just do 3.25 degrees. I have absolutely no idea in the MD-11 how you fly this, so we'll have the DME up and we will be working hard. If we need to go around, we'll make a left turn away. Although, actually, no, we'll make a right turn to Casca. Maybe we can put in a fix. To Casca? Just to give us something to look at. So if I scroll through. Here we go. Okay, let's have a look. Stock. Okay, shaft Bacon. And then Beast Bondo, 5,000 feet, and then 3.2 degrees. So I'm hoping it can just fly in profile, and like the Boeing, we'll put in the lower altitude and just let it fly down the profile. We'll leave it doing that on 1101 course 277, and then once we get within 1.1 on the India Kilo Lima, which should be tuned in Navrad, it will do later on, I would start my left turn. Do not turn left until at 1.1, and we'll also just keep that descent rate, a gentle descent rate. So I could even put it into FPA, FPA, and just do that first part with the autopilot. But frankly, it's going to be easier to do it visually, I think. By the way, look at that stabilizer right at the forward edge, which is typically where they want them. It's a more efficient position for these in the cruise, but it's just such a small stabilizer for the size of airplane. And you'll hear it quite often saying stabilizer, stabilizer, because it's running continuously and it's just warning you that what's going on. Right, we need to go back onto our track. So re-engage nav, and it should hopefully do that. We'll go back to map. I want to increase the range. Top of descent is coming up. Okay, right now, let's go back to Perth. Let's tell it we're landing on 22. So min is a little tighter, so we'll go medium auto brake on this one. Oh, and what flap setting was that? 35. If we go 50, let's do 35. So medium auto brake, flaps 35. And the Q&H showing up as 2994, so essentially the same as what we've got. 2994. Right, okay. Right, sorry about that, chat. I've been very focused in there, but we're going to make it as fun as possible. Yeah, the ground speed is silly. That's almost the fastest I've seen it gone in the simulator, certainly. I've gone faster in the 777 and the 78 with a really good tailwind. You can get 170 knot tailwinds, do happen. They do happen. So the plan is to fly this descent in the aircraft profile. We're using Navigraph charts now, we've given up on those. So we're going to fly around this. It'll eventually end up at shaft at 8,000 feet. Then we'll descend down to Bacon for runway 22, and from Bacon we'll then fly the LDA Zulu 22. So we'll be in profile mode all the way down. And this is me just guessing now. Profile mode, obeying the restrictions. I'll put 5,000 feet in the window. Once we clear for the approach closer in, I'll just put the MDA in the window. Let's put that in. It's 1,000 feet. We need to be visible with the runway and or the landing area by 1,000 feet. So let's put that in. Minimum. We'll go radio 1,000. This is a really fun approach. It's one of my absolute favourites, but this could be quite a handful in this airplane. I might have bitten off more than I can chew here. I've absolutely no idea how you go around in this airplane either. See, it's very surface deep knowledge on this one. Oh, please stop scrolling. Yeah, we hit a bit of turbulence there. See the airplane sinking off the altitude by 100 feet. They don't do that very often. I'm sure we will be visual by 1,000. The weather sounded pretty decent. We'll just check that. Before we do something silly like arrive in fog. Can't see anything. Cav OK, 1 degree. Yeah, perfect. So we've got good landing performance. We'll use idle reverse on landing, we'll be fine. But I'll probably go max reverse anyway. We've got medium auto brake, so we won't have much time to do that. We're a nice lightweight. We've got the fuel to do it. If I go to progress, expecting to land with that huge tailwind, we're landing even better. So we'd arrive at the ultimate with 5 tons. We're landing with 8.9. So we've got enough fuel to go around and then do the ILS the other way around, which we might choose to do if this doesn't work out. But yeah, if we do this, we will, at 1,000 feet or before 1,000 feet, I'll disconnect the autopilot, make sure within 1.1 miles, keep the descent rate as it is and start the turn. What will be challenging about this compared to a more modern aircraft is the sort of the way that the 777 and the 78 and the A320, they all balance out the trim for you. So when you bank the aircraft, they will keep the, so for this turn here, they will keep the airplane from dropping its nose too much, because once you turn the wings, the nose wants to drop, because the lift is no longer pointing straight up, right? It's pointing to the side, so you have to pull back on the elevator a little bit. So we must remember to do that to keep the vertical speed steady. We want to continue at the same 3.25 degrees, because that will get us here and it will continue us on for around the turn. That will put us at indicator limit at 1,000 feet at 3.8 miles out, so that should work out nicely, and then we can just balance it for the landing. Bit of a tailwind on landing, but that's okay. So maybe need up to 1,000 feet per minute. Let's check our approach speed, actually. That's the next thing we need to do. So we're going to take off approach. Flat 35, be at 147. That is fast. That is fast. I mean, we're so light. That is so fast. If I did 50, 144. I mean, it's no difference at all, is it? It makes no difference. So we'll stick with 35. 3 knots. That's ridiculous. So the extra flaps are really just drag, aren't they? Right, we've gone through top of descent, but we have a bit of a plan for that. So say that, and it should start down. So what's the last flight level on that arrival? Actually, let's say 13,000 feet, and we can already set the Q&H. going down to the altitude. 2994. 2994. So we've got fuel. Terrain isn't too much of a concern on this arrival. The MSAs are low. Oh, actually, no, it's not. 6,300 feet. It is a concern at this arrival, but it's when we get north of the airfield. In this bay area, obviously, it's lower. But we'll be visual. It's a very nice day for doing it. But yeah, interesting. 6,300. That's much higher than I thought it would be. We've got some speed limits to obey and some altitude restrictions to obey, but there's plenty of room there. There's 9 miles to lose. Actually, 9 miles to lose 3,000 feet is about right to get down to 5,000-ish for bacon. So we need to watch our energy here. We could be coming in a bit fast. So by shaft, I want some flaps out, and we'll be descending with some speed brake probably to get down to bacon. And this is going to be the key thing to making this easy for ourselves. Is actually, no, we don't need to be 5,000 at bacon. It's above 5,000. Oh, it does say mandatory 5,000. Oh, so we do want to be down. So we'll get down to 5,000, fly this level. I take it back. We could do this clean, and then we'll get flaps out by Biblo. And then we'll be slowing right down by Beast, and then I'm going to leave it in VNAV profile mode. I'm hoping, as it's got 3.25 degrees in the box, that it will then start the descent at Bondo. If it doesn't, I'll put it into FPA and we'll do 3.25 degrees there, and then we can track the there's not much to track on the distances, but we'll be flying visually at 3.25 down towards 1.1 mile. At 1.1, no earlier, we make our left turn and point towards the runway. Hard to spot at first, so we shall see. This is easy to do in the 787 because you have the HUD to look down. But yeah, so passing Biblo some flaps, and then passing Beast we'll just fully configure and fly level. It's absolutely fine. Flat 35 level. This airplane has so much power today. I'm confident it can do that. Love these cinematic cameras, just they're great. Love the livery, chunky livery, indeed I do as well. It's a great livery indeed. Right, so we're coming down very, very, very fast, even though we're in FMS speed, so I had very high descent speeds planned. This is a long arrival, so that will give us some time, because this is just how they sequence you. So the reality is, flying into Tokyo, you would expect, well, you wouldn't expect, but there is a chance that you will be taken off this. This is just delaying, as it were. So you might go from scout to shaft, and then you might suddenly find yourself high. But we are so early with that outrageous arrival. Ah, there we go. Look, it is just getting too fast for the airplane. What descent speed was it planning on? Descent 310 knots. Yeah, let's change that. Let's put that to. That is the maximum speed. That's probably when we did Cosnex 99. Won't let me. Alright, let's do 73/270. That's a more normal. Not many airports let you descend at 310 knots. No, it's not allowing it. Do I need to edit it? 270, let's try that. MMO 270, I want 270. There we go. That's forced the target back to 270, and hopefully it will recalculate its arrival based on that. My goodness, that was a very, very draggy way to arrive. Thanks, Elitis Maggie. Yeah, put it in the edit field. Took me a while to work that one out. So there are some differences in this over an Airbus. And now it's powering on. And now we get a huge run of the trim, I imagine. Oh, and it's still at full nose forward. MMO/270. I don't know why it's MMO/270. There we go. That's the best one. That's what I want. I don't want to ever go into MMO. Good. So we're coming in on the arrival. Let me just check. Quick start guide, what we might have missed. So I've done the flaps. We're doing flap 35. We've got in the QNH, and we've set the minimums of 1,000. The other side does not have 1,000, but I'm not too worried about that. And all we need to do is approach land. Done the auto brakes, and we'll get a green box. Good. And just got to remember, you've got to flare a bit earlier here. The throttle's idle around 50 feet, and it's around 40 feet you start the flare. As I saw in my video of both this and the A320-600, the towless one, you do need to flare a bit early. Awesome. I'm quite excited though. I absolutely love this approach. This is a really cool place to fly in real life. You've got so many aircraft and you come over all these islands. It's just absolutely beautiful. By the way, please let me know, how is the stream quality? I've fiddled with the settings. I know I had some requests for streaming at 1440p. What I did this time was I've increased the quality, hopefully, of the stream. So let me know if this is better or worse than normal, because it will depend what settings I fiddle with again next time. Stephen Fisher says, love the 1980s livery, they were very colourful. Yes, and Jazz seems to have some of the best out there, yeah. Quality okay here, says Mark, thank you. Streams perfect, says Peter DR, excellent. That is good news. Hayden wants 1440, yes, I think it was Hayden I was saying. I'll see if I can. I'll see what I can do about that. I will try it out. I wanted to up the quality first, just as sort of a test of the bandwidth, because I'll have to up the quality again, obviously, the bit rate to get it up to 1440p. So I didn't want to start a stream and then have it unstable. By the way, GE and SE, that's a gear extension and slat extension speed. I love that they're written on there. It's such a clear system. The 777 doesn't bother with that at all, and I think it should. So we can see the next speed. The Airbus does show you the flat limit speeds. So they're amber because we're above it. Now even the Airbus doesn't change colour. They'll go green once we're below it, and it's safe to deploy them, which I just love. No heading bug to update here either, just like the Airbus. It's sorting it all out on its own. But we can, if we want, bring it to life by doing that. But I don't want to. But what's cool is you can do that and then click it to center it, which I do think they should add that feature to the 777 or the Boeings. I think though we're still in. Oh no! So now we've armed heading mode. So let's put it back into nav. Yeah, you do have to be careful of that. A bit dark. Yeah, sorry about that. I think the sun's not been in a great position for this flight. Sorry. Now what would be good if I just bring up the LDA 22, LDA Zulu 22, and we'll just leave that. That's the most useful one here. And here's the visual prescribed track. So this is interesting. They've actually drawn the footbridge, sorry, the Tokyo Gate Bridge. So 1.1, they make a left turn, and that bridge is on the right. So you've got to basically get yourself you start turning just as that bridge is coming into the sort of 2-3 o'clock. Remain on the LDA until you pass the missed approach point, so as to not penetrate the no transgression zone. That's talking about the zones for the approach onto the other runway, and you don't want to get in between them. Final length of the prescribed track is 1.8 nautical miles, 30 seconds of flight at 160. Pappy's at 3 degrees. So we might have three or potentially 4 whites depending where we come out. Should only be 3 realistically. If we go around, we'll notify traffic. If we go around from here, yes, we'll do the right turn. After here, we'll just make a left turn back out into the bay, climb to 5,000 or 6,000 feet, sorry, the MSA, and then we'll set ourselves up for another approach because we know we're the only aircraft around here. But for now, let's keep the LDA 22 chart up. So that's the last 1,000 feet towards 13,000, and it was going to want to come back to 230 knots here. So we're going to need to start putting some flaps out. Although, yes, there it goes, 230 knots. It's great. This aircraft just does everything for you. But let's imagine we go from scout and we to stock. Now I'm trying to remember how to do this on the Airbus style. Scout to stock. No, that does not work. Just clear that one out. It can't be this difficult. There must be an easy way of dragging that to the top. Scout stock. Right, because otherwise this ride is going to be very, very long indeed. Because we'll be doing it all at 230 knots. But look at that, we are absolutely fine to do it clean. And we can see that in the takeoff approach. Min clean, 194 knots. It's all very, very clear. I like that a lot. In fact, we can go from scout to shaft. So we'll do that. There is an easy way to do that. I don't know why I'm doing that. There must be an easy way. Rudy says, I'm running out of bud. We'll do our best. We'll do our best to get you on the ground for some stock up. Yeah, I love the old school backup instruments. Yeah, too right. I love that airspeed. Look at that. Yeah, if you copy the line. So why... But when I select it, it's not copying it, which is what I would do on the Boeing. Ah, was I meant to do it here? No. I think it would be next waypoint. Scouts. Next waypoint. You'd type it in there, wouldn't you? So I can do scout to bacon. Let's try that. There it goes. That's how you do it. Okay, so now it can work on a realistic profile. We're still at 13,000 feet. I'm going to say we're cleared for the approach. Or, sorry, we're cleared for the arrival, which will be 5,000 feet in the window, which is the... If we remember, 5,000 feet is the altitude at shafts, which we're skipping actually because we're going to bacon. But bacon is also at 5,000 feet, mandatory. So there we go. So that's now in the window. And once you're clear for the approach, we could then put in the final altitude. All the passengers back here, not worrying about this at all. They're all nice and early. Still watching their films, although I don't know if you'd have those old CRT TVs still running at the moment. Yeah, Lisa's Maggie, I totally agree. That's what's happening to me there as well. I can do it on the Boeing, but trying to remember all these other aeroplanes can be tricky. Yeah, there you go. Stephen says, go to the waypoint, select next, and enter the name. Thank you. Clouds are looking good. I've got to say, Flight Simulator 2024, and I know we said this last time, it is getting there, isn't it? It is getting there. Something I really like about this current view is that you've got the sort of the unlimited visibility above the cloud layer, which is often the case. When you have hazy days on the ground, like summer days, this is sort of the reason. You get it trapped below this layer. So this cloud layer is at the top of the haze, and then above it it's clear. And that's really, this is a really good representation of what that looks like. I dislike this sort of loading in. I might need to fiddle with my settings. I think my computer can handle a little more. I do have frame gen on, but I like frame gen. I think frame gen's good. A few artifacts, especially on the engines as you move, that's not great. I need to try the new DLSS as well to see if that fixes the instruments, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Marcus says, I already have more time spent in 2024 versus 2020. That's quite impressive. It would take me a few years to get to that point. So we're landing over there. It's not as far to go as that looks because we're going to fly this left turn and then land on the runway just there. Can't see it yet, but there we go. And scouts. So the plan is for 10,000 feet there. It does know the plan. It's in profile mode. I'm going to say we're clear for the approach. So I'm just going to put 1,000 feet in the window. I'm going to treat this like a Boeing. I think it's going to just fly the descent on its own. And then once we're below, what I must do is once we are below missed approach altitude, which we said is 6,000 today for us. So once we're below 5,700, I might wind that in. But I don't know if that's going to work. That's what we do in a Boeing. Ben says, X-Plane 12 clouds look so amazing. X-Plane 12 did impress me. There were some things I didn't like about it. There were some things where the graphics were clearly a bit... I mean, obviously the scenery is obviously behind by default, unless you start upgrading it yourself. So there are some things I didn't like about it, but the replay system, the default airports, and yeah, the lighting, clouds, and in particular the rain, the water effects. I know right from the start of X-Plane 12 the water effects are sort of the thing, and yeah, that's still the case. They are fantastic. Dominic, it's good to see you. We are setting up for the LDA into runway 22 in Tokyo. We'll see how it goes. This might not work out. I don't know how to fly an LDA in this aircraft, so we will potentially be going around and making a left turn and then going to the ILS on 3-4. We've also going to have a bit of a tailwind doing this. 27 knots there. And that's actually looking promising. That suggests we have a good wind for our approach, which is what we want. I don't want a strong tailwind coming down that approach at 3.25 degrees. So we're going to configure the aircraft early to make sure that works out. So it'll be a case of, like I say, flying the profile and then disconnecting, keeping the vertical speed steady, and then a gentle left turn, and let's see if we can find the runway. It's not the easiest thing to do. The first time you do this, it is quite disconcerting. What a beast. Google said I got an SRA into Jib a while ago. Nearly got it wrong. Yes, Gibraltar does SRAs. One of the only places in the world that still uses them. But yes, they are quite a challenge as well. Well done for doing it. Like, it's that's not easy. That is not easy. I need to set the lights. My computer lights are a little bit intense. They're flashing away in all RGB colours. I need something a little steadier. There we go. Right, let's get the replay tool up. Ready to go, so hopefully I can remember that. And it's begun its descent. The profile is coming in. I don't know what IP means. 230 knots is good though. And this airplane you can leave in managed speed, but you need to watch out because, like the Airbus, it will try and slow down too much. Weirdly, it doesn't show you your clean speed either, although I suppose that amber band is. It seems quite happy for you to come right back to it. I use Flight Recorder as my replay tool. Yeah, the cinematic camera is great on this. Absolutely beautiful. Fuji too, thank you so much for the £20 super chat. That's really very generous. Thank you so much. Fuji says, great stream as always. Love the playtime with the FMC. Good job. Thank you. Hopefully we've got it right. Thank you very much though. That's very generous. Thank you for coming along and supporting us as always. And it's great to have you here. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Very, very kind. Yes, the FMC was not my proudest streaming moment. We spent most of the cruise looking at the FMC intently. We normally get to enjoy the outside of the airplane. The artwork on this aircraft has been improved unbelievably though. It's so clear. I've really enjoyed it. This is my third like full flight with it now, and I've enjoyed all of them. We'll see if I'm still saying that as we try and fly this approach though. Yeah, it is very gloomy in here. I could try putting on this storm light. No, it's not doing anything. But yeah, thank you again, Vuti, for the very, very, very kind super chat and support. Yeah, that's not doing much at all for the lights. That's as good as we're going to get it. Right, through 10,000 feet, passengers. Sit down, please. Let's put all the lights on. This is very busy airspace. So I'm landing on as well. Oh, there's turn-off lights as well. Yeah, thank you, Uzi. Very, very kind. So, I'm hoping we'll get localizer guidance showing up on here, because it isn't officially an LDA. There is a localizer to fly. So, in a Boeing, I would fly this in localizer and VNAV. So, I'm going to see if we get that information. If I go to NavRad, it's not tuned in at all. 1101-277. Let's tune it in. It might wake up. And I'll say lock only. There's no glide slope with that. Ah, that's how you do lock armed. So there's a localizer, and that gives us India Papa Romeo. Is that correct? No, we want India Kilo Lima. Let's see. It might, once we turn the corner, flight sim might wake up. I don't want to localizer arm just yet. But that's how you do it. Because there's no localizer only mode up here. It's just approach. It tries to do the glide slope as well. So you select it in the FMS. How fun is that? They do look like 330 engines. They may well be. These are GE engines, yeah. If not, a similar development of that. Anyway, I'm getting a bit distracted here. We need to start slowing down. So let's go slats. Because it sped right up there. I don't know why. I'm actually going to slow it down myself because this is a bit silly. We can manage the speed again later. So slowing down, huge great slats on it. Go on, chase plane. Don't let me down. There we go. Beauty. Oh yeah, by the way, the speed brakes are just in notches. It's quite bizarre. So that's good. We're in hold mode. If I press profile, no, that's fine. Again, it's 5,000 for beast. We're at 1,000 feet to go. That's perfect. Let's go to flat 15. Good. Still says India Papa Romeo. 277-1101 LDA DME India Kilo Lima. You can try typing it in. Let's see if that works. $5,000 feet. I put 1,000 in the window. So that's good news. It's going to hold 5,000. Speed brakes are away. It's not recognizing, is it? 1091. We think it's 1101. Not sure if this is a database issue with Flight Simulator or not. So in this case, I'm going to leave it in nav and vertical profile, and then we can just back it up with the localizer and the DME. 16 miles out. We can check this. Bondo should be, Beast should be 15.8. So there's Beast, 15.8. It is the right DME, so that's crucial. So 1.1, I think is actually probably the right thing, but we'll do it in nav with that as a backup. So from Bondo, I'm expecting it to carry on its descent. It's holding 5,000, but I'm allowing it to go all the way down to 1,000. In fact, I could wind that up out the way now. Yeah, up out the way, 6,000 feet. So fingers crossed it starts the descent here. Let's come back to 160. And we'll go to flaps 28. And pull. Just taking over because the FMS plan is a little bit sporty, as it often is. Lots of flaps out. And now Bondo should start down at 3.2 degrees. Looks like it's nosing over. No, it's going up. That's not good. No. No, it's not done it. So we'll go to VSFPA. Gear down. Let's go to 3.8 to start with. See if we can catch it. We've got the vertical profile here. Intercept point is there. So let's go to 4. That can be quite a high rate of descent, but we're almost at landing config. Let's go flap 35. And I'm going to arm the spoilers. Flap 35 is our landing flap. So we're configured for landing now. And I can go to FMS speed, I'm hoping. No, I cannot. 147 is in, so we come back to the approach speed. Currently doing 1,200 feet per minute. Stood at 4,000 feet, so we have a bit of space here. So let's try 4.6. This is getting to be very high workload, as you can see. We need to be visual by 1,000 feet. What you'd also do is you'd work out some DMEs and altitudes. We're flying a little bit in the blind here. There we go. We're starting to see the profile come back in. at which point we'll go back to our 3.25 degrees. Into the clouds. Anyway, they're armed. We're at flap 35 for landing, which is what we wanted. Flap 35, gear down. We got auto brakes to medium. We're landing max reverse, and we're at VAP of 147. So we're in a good place. Keeping it gentle, doing 1100 feet per minute, FPA 6000. Sorry, FPA with 6000 in window. I was going to say it's not only 6000 feet per minute, thankfully. Doing about 1100, which is 4.6 degrees at this speed, which is looking good. Bang on the localizer. Remember, we can't turn it to 1.1. Years ago, pilots would be looking at the window. Indeed, they would, although that would be a little bit tricky today, because this isn't quite a visual approach. It will be later once we get down there, but for now, honestly, the hardest bit of this for me is going to be finding that runway. So, if we need to go around, I'm going to go full power on the throttles. I think that's a toga switch, but it might be disconnect. So I'm just going to go full power on the throttles, and we'll bring the flaps to 28, which I imagine is a go around setting, the equivalent of 20. Okay, let's start shadowing out the descent. We're starting to reach it. Maybe not as much as I thought. See if the progress page will tell us that information. We want to arrive at MX22, which is the missed approach point at 1,000 feet. I hit FS speed, will it wake up? There we go, finally. So it's all happy now. Go to 3.2, because it's getting very sensitive as we get close in. We got the box, config box, they're all good. So we full power, check we have the thrust set, we'll raise the flaps 1 notch, and then we will get positive rate and gear up, hopefully, if we need it. Remember, we can't turn to 1.1. There's the bridge, that is in here. There's the airport. Now the real one has... That's not the airport. The airport's around the bend. So that's minimum. So this has not worked out at all. We are far too low. Yeah, that's not the airport there at all. As expected. So this profile, I don't know what this profile is based on. Now in theory you could fly along at minimums and then do the turn, but we're not going to do that because that is just ridiculous. So let's try again. So go around. There we go. Go around thrust. Flaps 28. Flaps 28. Pitching up. We're climbing to 6,000 feet. Thrust set. Flaps 28. Positive rate. Gear up. Try not to let those go too high. So we should have passed here at 1,000 feet. But anyway, there we go. So let's go into heading select, 6,000 feet, open climb, autopilot. No, it can't do that. It's too out of trim. That's where that little stabilizer is causing us problems. Right, let's try that again. You get lots of warnings from this aeroplane. Let's see if we can handle that. It's got a nose down trim pretty aggressively, and then we'll make a left turn back out into the bay. Come on, get that nose down. Yeah, it's really struggling with that. That autopilot struggles with the pitch attitude. It's very aggressive. Yes, we know. Right. It's also, I'm not happy with the speed it's choosing, so let's accelerate that speed. We're up nice and high. 200 knots. Heading out into the bay. Heading 175 south. Auto flights. Thanks, Lisa Maggie. See you next time. Yeah. So the problem is our chart in the altitudes, and there's something seriously off with the profile this had in its own head. I don't know why. It's to do with me not knowing how to code this box properly. So that's a bit of a shame. but that definitely was not going to have it. So here we go, 6,000 feet. We're at the MSA, and we're heading off out into the bay. I can show you on here a little more clearly. Through that. Oh, signal's broken. Okay. Well, anyway, so we're now down and out here. So there we go. That's a shame. It's not that bad of an approach if you know your aeroplane well enough. But yeah, that vertical profile was not it. As I said, I wanted to be 1,000 feet at 1.1, which is much further away than I realised. I think my scale, I didn't have the scale right in my own head here. So anyway, let's go and do what we were thinking of doing, which is going to be the ILS Yankee onto 3-4 left. Anyway, we can do that from Kaiho. So let's try that. So RJTT, star, ILS 3-4 left, Yankee, Kaiho, insert, flight plan, and there we go, direct, Kaiho. And then I'll go nav. It's back at 150 knots, it's determined to do that. So let's accelerate to 200. There it goes. So we can get those flaps in, because this is going to be costing us an awful lot of fuel. There's the airfield. They would not have appreciated us flying straight over the airfield like that. And it's gone out of trim again. It just doesn't like it. It can't move that stabilizer quick enough for these last engine changes. I don't know if that's true to the real airplane. It seems a little unlikely to me, but maybe it is. Because that stabilizer is constantly getting upset. If I press B just to check, yeah, we think we've got the right QNH. That all made sense. It seems to just have been the profile. Yeah, possibly to do when I entered that random 3,000 feet in, which was perhaps not the best way to do it. So anyway, let's go to ILS Yankee 3-4 left. If I knew what went wrong with that, as in if I knew the aeroplane and I could set it up right, then we'd obviously do it again, but I think we're at risk of it just happening again. Okay, can't deal with that chart anymore. Let's go back to this one. So Kaiho, 4,000 feet. That's in front of us. 4,000. How are we doing for fuel? 7.2 tons of fuel. Loads of fuel still. 4,000 profile. Vertical alert's holding 6. Hopefully it will start down in the moment. We're doing 200 knots. Let's bring the flaps up to 15. I think that's a reasonable place to be here. Gear is up. Cabin is still secure. And let's just go to takeoff approach. 35 land. 147 still. Haven't really burnt much fuel doing that. A bit of a wide turn here, so it might be worth slowing down. So let's just bring it back. Clean is 192, so I think 180 is going to be, in fact, even 170. Very achievable. Just complaining about the landing gear. Look at that little box, will tell you what's wrong with your config. I quite like that. And we've still got medium water brake in there. Above 20-degree pitch is weird to see. Yes, indeed. This airplane's very light and it's powerful enough that it can end up above 20 degrees even on a normal takeoff. It's quite something. Yeah, it's just the power of it. I'll tell you something also weird about that approach. The completely still water. There's no wind here at all today, and that gave a really weird illusion there where I could not judge the distance to the runway because of this sort of blank blue texture beneath us. Yeah, and that's true in real life. You know, a completely glassy sea, which is very rare, but it's a very disorientating thing. See that stabilizer working hard at the back there. Right, so we're about to make a big U-turn back around, and then the airplane will hopefully carry on its descent down. I'll try once more on this page, which is driving me crazy. Oh, you can click and drag. Okay, so it is my fault, as usual. Yankee 3-4 left. There we go. Right. So we're going to do a big turn now back to Avion at 2,000 feet. And I can put in the window the platform altitude of the ILS, which is 1,500 feet. The trick here is not to get caught out. It is a low platform altitude, 1,500 feet, so we need to be basically fully configured by that point. I'm also going to clear out the IPR and let it tune what it wants. So remember, we typed that thing in earlier, and that would cause us problems. So 111.7337, 111.7337. So it has tuned the correct thing. So that's good news. So here we go. We're now in a standard sort of place. By the way, this could happen if you mess up an approach or the winds aren't favourable or something like that, that you end up having to come and do it all again. And think of the workload. You thought you were flying one approach, and then think of this very agricultural with its elevator. I'm not convinced the real aircraft was like that. There you go, look, it's given up again. It can't trim it out to that extent. So Avion is the two waypoint in front of us. It's got a vertical profile. It's back in trim. Auto flight. I'm just going to give it Avion again in front of it so it doesn't try too hard. There we go. Nav profile to 2,000 feet. We've got a glide slope. We're at 4,000 feet. And we are flat 15 currently. Mike says, enjoying the stream, would you be able to show us that approach in 777? Indeed, yeah, I have a video of it on the channel already. If you'd like to look it up, it's Tokyo approach in the 777. I did it in the ANA C3PO livery, which I absolutely love. And yeah, sorry we're not doing it today, but like I say, I think it would, let's go FMS speed now, which is also 170. How lucky is that? I think it would be a little bit redundant until I knew a bit more about flying this aeroplane as to what vertical profile I was actually getting it to follow. I don't know what that 3,000 feet I typed in the window was. I think that can't have helped. So ready altimeter should come alive at 2,500 feet as per usual. Minimums, I'll leave it at 1,000. We're already visual, so it's not a concern. This is a cool approach because you've got these cool buildings out in the water in Tokyo. But like I say, you're much closer in than you imagine. There's the runway. We can also reduce the auto brake to min, because you would have also redone your performance for 3-4 left, min, all reverse, flat 35, loads of room. 2,500 at 2,600, a little bit higher. So we're a little bit lower. That's probably because of the 0 degrees. So it's sunk way below profile there. It did a bit of a dive down. Currently 8 miles out. Which is absolutely fine. So it should level off at 2,000. And if I press approach land, land armed. So now it will do localizer. And then once the localizer's engaged, it will then do the glide slope. See the frame gen struggling with this view. It doesn't like it. So like I say, don't want to get caught out here. So as soon as we're around the turn, sorry, as soon as we're on the glide slope, it's fully configuring time. Maybe even a bit sooner than that. I'd love to do a 747 video, but unfortunately the Boeing aircraft in Flight Simulator 2024 don't seem to work very well at the moment, the included ones. I'm hoping we'll get PMDG 747 at some point soon. I've flown the CRJ on the channel a few times, Goatman. Yeah, should probably do that again. Right, here we go. Gear down. All those wheels. Extra wheel in the middle. DC-10 didn't need that, but this does for the extra weight. Not all DC-10s. I think maybe some had that. I'm not sure, actually. So on the localizer now. And we'll go to flat 28. Land is armed, which is effectively the glide slope mode. Now it's coming back onto the approach speed. We'll go flat 35. Start landing flap. We're in lock. And glide slope dual land. So it's all set up for an auto land. We've armed the spoilers. Let's hope that it doesn't disengage on us. Yeah, I'm going to put the MSA in for our go around in case we need it again. Same actions as before. Luckily the auto throttle disconnect was on the side. It certainly was on the side of my TCA. Is there a toga button on this thing? Maybe that looks like a toga button. Yeah. Giving out warnings left, right and centre. That's cool. I don't know what that thing is, but it's so cool. Right, 50 feet, throttle start to close, 40 feet we start our flare, and it does need it. Gentle headwind of 4 knots. Gear down, we're in our config, flap 35, auto brake low. Could easily go idle reverse, but I'll probably just go max just to take some heat out of them. Just keep it zoomed in a little bit. So I think that view's a bit nicer. Autopilot off.
Autopilot 500.
Now it's a very manual aircraft, and again, Flight Simulator's got this awful habit of moving the pappies and glides over at the last minute, which is it's really bad because it's just the whole point is to not get yourself into oscillations at the end, and Flight Simulator sort of encourages it. So bang on headwinds. Actually, it's gone calm now. Oh, now it's stuttering. Please don't do that for long.
100.
Coming over the threshold.
50, 40,
Flare.
30, 20, 10.
There's touchdown. Yeah, a very good. Not much of a flare. I just don't trust this aeroplane very much. Nice minimum auto brake. I can hear that the speed brakes did deploy, and there we go. We'll see a replay of that shortly. That felt okay. I've got the chase plane doing its thing. It's the landing bump was way too severe, so I might let's go manual brakes. What are we doing? 50 knots. Take the second exit from here. That's the auto brake disarm light, and we'll go and park over on the terminal just there. So we will we'll have a look at the replay. Yeah, I don't like that touchdown effect. I thought I would try chase plane in its default sort of settings. 33 knots is a bit fast, forward idle, and I am not a fan. The touchdown is just too extreme. Your head shouldn't shake like that when you land, or you've probably had a pretty firm landing. Ooh. Bit of a roundabout here, so we're going to taxi back ourselves and over there. But awesome. Sorry about the LDA. Like I say, if you want to see that done properly, then it's on the channel as well as proof that it can be done. It's not too bad, but you do need to know your aeroplane a little bit better than I know this one to make sure you're doing that right. I'm sure there's something obvious I was doing wrong there. But here we are, safely on the ground, still got plenty of fuel in tanks, 6.3. But that's the thing with aviation, right? If you do something and it's not worked out, you need to have a backup plan. And sometimes the day is longer than you think it's going to be, and there's not a lot you can do about that. You just have to keep going. The airplane's on a timer. Once you go past V1, you have a limited amount of fuel, a limited amount of time in the air, and you have to solve every problem before you're back on the ground. That's just the thing with airplanes, and there's nothing we can do about it. So how was the landing? I think it was better than it appeared. Oh, that taxiway's closed, so we can't use that. So that's an error. We've got to do a sharp right turn here. So we'll get a full right tiller. We'll do a replay in a moment, which is why I'm leaving everything as it is in terms of the flaps and lights. And then we'll just rev up engine 1 a little bit, swing the nose round. That should be absolutely fine. John Della, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. If you did watch it, please do hit the like button. It makes a big difference to the channel. Thank you very much. But the landing was in the right place. But as you can see, I don't know if it's to do with having 3 engines, but you can definitely see that you need an earlier, longer flare in this aircraft than most others that we're used to. Airbuses, except for the 340-600, is the first one I've seen that needs such an early flare. But the 777 and 787 are very responsive in the flare, and you flare them at 30 or even slightly lower. You flare them even later than the A320, unbelievably. Whereas this aircraft clearly needs a 40 feet, a good flare at 40 feet. It's cool though, and it's great to feel the different aircraft. If they all landed the same, it wouldn't be particularly interesting for us, would it? So it makes a big difference to get to fly an airplane that handles differently. What we might do, I've got a bit of spare time here, so I might very quickly load up the aircraft to some heavier weights and try a takeoff like that and just see how it performs, because it does run away on the takeoff there. So I'm curious if we put it up to max weight, what it would do. But first of all, we'll look at the replay, and then we'll see if we can do that. If we can find a stand. There's the other MD-11 livery. I chose the chrome one for my video on it, which I thought was really cool, but that's great too. Hard to beat this one though. It does have auto land. I haven't tried it. That's a good question. I haven't tried it yet. I've had too much fun sort of trying it out. Like I say, this actually feels like a different aeroplane. Actually, we might not have time. I think we won't have time to do it by the time I load up and put the weights in. Look at that, by the way. You can see the scrubbing of the tyre. I love that. That is a very true effect. You'll see it on parking stands of heavy aircraft. Just the physics of putting all that weight into that little nose gear. So cool. Yeah, I'd love to do a long haul in this. I think it'd be really interesting. And that jetty is definitely in the way. Oh, that's not a good view. Right, there we go. Parked up. Welcome to Tokyo Haneda. So thank you very much for watching. Let's turn off the disconnect from VATSIM, where luckily no one needed us to speak. And let's just scroll to the replay. Let's have another look at that. So, normal view on the outside. I could just restart the flight actually, put it on the threshold. I might do that. I have a bit of spare time, so I might do that. Just do a full weight takeoff and then maybe an overweight landing back in, just to see how it performs at those weights. So here we go. There was the flare, starting at 40. Just not, could have got more out of it. The only good, well, I say the only good thing, there was nothing wrong to arrive on the touchdown zone there like that. But it will, we were bang on the markers. Look at that. Although, like I say, I dread to think what it's showing you as the landing rates. What is it showing? 332. Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be the smoothest landing ever. I don't think there's any problem. But there we go. So we've seen what it's like empty. If we just load it up onto 3-4 left, I'm curious. So just give me 1 second and we'll do that. So I'll be back in just a moment. So what we're going to do, we're just going to load onto 3-4 right, which is the normal sort of departure runway here, and then do a max weight takeoff. And I'm just curious to see, like I say, what the climb performance is of this aircraft. But thank you very much to those of you who come along. Thank you for the super chats and moderators. If anyone needs to leave, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for coming along, and please leave a like on the way out if you did enjoy it. I don't know where flight simulator. Okay, that wasn't the intention of that. Let's put us on to 2-2. Nah, that poses a different problem. Let's try that again. RJTT. Three, 4 right. Everyone look at that and confirm that I have it right. 3-4 right. Start flight. Please work. Mark, we're just glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along. Ah, the structure on the approach is a ventilation shaft. I see, I see. Dr. says, any chance of a short video talking about PC specs for 2024? I'm looking to upgrade soon. I think this has done the same thing. Yeah. Let's put us back onto runway 22. Okay, well, I don't think it'll be much fun watching me taxi all the way over to 3-4 right. I don't know why it's not behaving. But 3-4 right is just over there. I could just... Oh, slew mode has changed, doesn't it? Of course. I think we might... Maybe we'll save that for another time. So what I'll do is let's set up the finale. Let's just do that. I think that's the best option here. Cut our losses. So put those out. Put that there. Put that to medium.
Don't think.
Put the airplane onto the approach.
Don't think.
Okay. Right. Yes, RAM prices are insane. But let me tell you, I can tell you what my RAM is using now with all my streaming software and everything running. My RAM is at 30.1 gigabytes. My VRAM is not quite full. I've got 16 and it's not quite full. It's using 13. But my memory is 29.9 gigabytes. There you go. And that's to run all the streaming software as well. So make that up what you will. But yeah, RAM is the expensive bit. But I haven't ever gone over the 32 so far. I do have 64 installed. So, yeah, sorry about that. I think we'll just finish up for today because I don't want to have you all sitting there for too long whilst I fiddle around with the repositioning just to get what will effectively be a longer takeoff. But what I'll say is thank you all so much for coming along. Oh, there you go. Alita Maggie says, I see my RAM go into high 50s in JFK. So it can happen. I suppose we're at a lot of water here. But yeah, thank you so much for coming along. I really appreciate it. And like I say, if you go on my channel for it's Tokyo approach, I will... Oh, let me see if I can find it. I saw some people asking. What is that video called? What did I call it? Challenging approach. It'll be one of my challenging approaches. That's what you need to look for. But yeah, thank you so much for coming along. Thank you to the moderators for looking after us. Thank you to those of you who's very kindly donated with the super chat. I really appreciate it. It's very kind. Thank you to those of you chatting. Thanks to those who just watched along at home. There'll be more videos, guys, live streams coming to the channel, so do please subscribe if you'd like to see those, and we'll see you along for one of those hopefully very soon. But for now, enjoy the replay, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.